Hi, and welcome back to all my subscribers. And if you're new to this, hit subscribe to follow up on nice 3D modeling content in Alias. So, in the previous video, we've built this curve here, belt line, and today I will show you one of my favorite tools, actually two of my favorite tools. So we will be building a rough surface for the windows here, called a side barrel. And we will also build a first rough volume for this tire here so we can emulate this in the wheels. So let's jump into that. You see here, we've done that curve. And what I'd like to do, I want to have this inner curve here. And we need that because that line is basically the division between the side glass barrel and belt line trim here. Normally, this is what you see in a car in chrome or dark metal. So what I want to do is in this top view, I will go to Object Edit and hit Offset, making sure that we are in the active view so that the line gets offset in this top view so it sits on the same height, same plane, everything like the originating curve. And I'll take this arrow here, click it so it goes inboard, and then I will move it in like this. So let's say the value, I'll give it 21 millimeters. So that's one of the tools that I like using, the offset tool, because it offsets this line inboard. So we know we've got the same distance between the original line and the other one. And the other tool that I really like using is called the Revolve tool. And the Revolve tool helps us build rotational volumes. And for that, I will show you how we can do this line here easily and turn it into a barrel. This is a bit more advanced, but stay with me. So what I'll do, first want to get a degree 1 line somewhere here on the center of the model. And here comes the interesting part. I will use a vector and snap it to that. And that's about it. And now let's jump into this really cool tool. So in the surfaces here, or if you're looking on the palette, you'll find it on the surfaces around here in Revolve. So if you double click that, it opens up your options. I will want to build off of that inner line. So I just click that line and you see it took the center of rotation, the origin there. And that's because that's an offset line, and by default, offsets get their pivot placed onto the origin. You could also say that you want, and this is a Z rotation, so it goes horizontal. If you click on X and click next, let's click on X and change it a little bit. Go back to the sweep 360, closes up, and you will see now we've generated a barrel. That's not what we're looking for, but it's a quick demo. So that's one way to do it. The other direction would be the Y direction. So it takes the center of the rotation, the origin point. So that's always based on the pivot position, and it rotates it. If I take, let's say, that offset curve and move its pivot there, and then I switch on, instead of acting the global axis, I go local, and play here with this a little bit. do that again. So now, then I want to have it local. So let's pick this as a curve, not as an object. Let's move its pivot here. See if this works. Yes, you see now it's rotating along that pivot and it's doing it locally. This will give us this result. This will give us this result. And if you click here on picked, that's when it's getting interesting for us, because I can click here on picked. That means it's looking for a vector. Now we can click this here and we start getting the barrel that we were talking about. Now these arrows, that will help you adjust your sweep. So it doesn't have to be a full barrel, it can be just part of it. And now we'll start getting into a more advanced and interesting thing. But what I want to do and why I've done this is the following. I like working with a construction history. That means that most of the surfaces stay alive and I can adjust them just by adjusting the curves. So that vector is living off of that line. That means if I change the position of those two CVs, it will change the direction of the vector, and this will change that barrel. So let's have some fun with it. So I can take that curve now, and I will move it in the Y direction or outward, and this will make my barrel, it gives it a bigger radius, basically. See, we're going away from that line, which increases the radius, which means it makes it flatter, and we're getting closer to what the blueprint shows us. See? Easy. So I want to stay kind of parallel to that line there, because the A pillar will be a bit more outward, but parallel to that line, and at the back, a similar situation. This is why this tool is one of my favorite tools to work with, because it helps me build high quality side barrels in no time. This is super easy, and you get really good highlights. And because it's a barrel, you know, if you build a window off of it, it can roll down, hence a barrel. So that's that. And in one of the next tutorials, I will show you how to get even closer to the blueprint by projecting these lines onto that barrel. So that's one of the use cases for the Revolve tool. And let me show you the other one. The Revolve tool and the rotational objects. Well, we're talking about wheels, a barrel. We can talk about some of these objects like sensors. They are usually quite fixed shapes because they need a certain geometry to make it work. So let's jump in and build a simple volume showing that wheel there. For that, I've built some simple curves. I went in front view, brought in one line here, horizontal, and two vertical ones, showing and depicting those contours there. I didn't bother now for the moment with these lines there because we don't need them, but we can get into that and do those quickly as well. So we've got three curves. What I want to do is I will want to group them. So Control G or go into Edit and click Group. That puts your pivot on the origin. That's one of the other tools that move the new objects pivot to the origin. Now, what I can do is I can take the pivot and move it in the side view, hitting Control and Alt, and then clicking this curve, and it brings it projected to the continuation on that curve over there. Cool. So we can now take that object, go into surfaces on the palette and hit revolve. I want to do a rotation on the y-axis. So this is the y-axis, basically the one that's perpendicular to the car length, to the forward direction. So click the y direction, and I will set it up to be 360 in sweep angle. And I like using 4 segments, just gives it higher quality to the surfaces. And what you see here, these green C's, it means that continuity check is being done, and we've got curvature continuity between these patches. That's what you would normally need for a high quality surface. So that's the wheel. Well, at least a simulation of the wheel. We will have to go in depth and build it properly, but it will help you to imagine that volume there. Now we can take that object, it will be called node, copy paste it, and I want to place it here at the back. There we go. And now I will do the same operation again. I will do a revolve. This time I will make sure that it's working local, because before it was global with the pivot on the origin and the center of the wheel at the origin. That was okay, but at the back, well, we're a bit different, right? So I will go local, and there we have it. So let's place all these curves. If we go on to Windows and then the object lister, here we will see a list of all the layers, and at the moment we haven't got any. So let's click here, right click, new layer. We'll call this CRV for curves and assign the objects. I will hide that layer, and now I can take these objects and then hit here, right click again, and then new from selected, new layer from selected objects. So that's a few clicks less, and everything is already assigned to it. See? So now we will call this work. Cool. So we've got that in there. We've got those simple objects, and just stay tuned for the next things to come. Thank you for watching this. I will catch you later.